That's great. Thank you, Hazel.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name's Hazel. I'm a Senior Project Officer for Joined Up Careers Derbyshire. I'd like to thank everyone for joining today. Joined Up Careers, Skills for Care and Indeed have all come together to share best practice really and new ideas to help with your recruitment. We do hope you find this week informative and that will help with your current and future workforce recruitment. At the end of the week, Oliver from Indeed will be preparing you to get ready to participate in the wider Derbyshire recruitment drive, which will take place in September. So just to move on to a little bit of housekeeping, we will be starting at 11 o'clock each day, and we have 30-minute sessions for you. We do value your feedback, and as Rennie said, if you want to put your contact details or any questions within the chat, we will try to answer those at the end of the session. We would ask you to turn your cameras off and your mic off while the presenters are delivering, and this just helps with IT interference. There will be some time allocated at the end of the session for you to ask any questions. The sessions are being recorded and will be shared, so those that miss any of the sessions this week will be able to look back at them. So just now to start really, I'd like to introduce John Houghton. Is that how you pronounce it, John?
Yeah, that's correct, yes.
Managing Director from Right at Home Derby. So do you want to make a start, John?
Good morning, everyone. So yes, as kindly introduced, I'm John Houghton. I'm the Managing Director and nominated individual at Right at Home Derby, which has been going for about 9 years. And then a couple of years ago, we expanded into East Staffordshire as well. So we've got a separate registered location over there. We mainly are self-funded clients, but we also look after some complex needs CCG clients as well. Above all, what I would start by saying, and I think everyone would agree, is without caregivers, we have no business, and therefore we have to dedicate our time into retaining and recruiting our current employee base. But the big question is, what is more important, recruitment or training? So next slide, please. So with the cost of recruitment increasing and the scarcity of candidates, retention is more and more important. What we found is what makes people want to stay is also what will attract new candidates, which will allow for growth in your business. From our latest 5-star employer in care opinion survey, which we conduct on an annual basis, almost 90% say they plan to stay for between 3 years and retirement. So the question is, why do they want to stay? Next slide, please. Almost 3/4 of the carers stay because of the actual time they get to spend with clients. So whilst we are paying above living wage and we pay travel time and wait times, only 5% of our employee base are saying that they stay because of the actual pay that they get. What we look at is if we know why people like working for ourselves, then we build our recruitment strategy around what our current employees like. For us, it's about creating a role in which they know they are making a difference to people's lives. So the value that they actually get out of the role itself, as opposed to the pay at the end of the day. However, our 12-month retention, it's at 91%. So we do have some turnover. So we also have to look at why do people actually leave. Next slide, please. Most importantly, what we find is that people are happy with their colleagues, they're happy with the manager, and they're more than happy with the role that they're actually doing. They are not leaving us for better paid care positions, so we've got 0% as to why they're going to leave and join a competitor that's offering more money. In some situations, turnover we find can be a good thing. We do have a good percentage of university students getting nursing degrees, trainee health professionals who are working with Right at Home to help them advance their long-term career. And we're actively look for these people and celebrate when they actually leave to actually pursue their career. We see it as we're helping them in their long-term journey, and they will go on and tell other people about the benefits of working for Right at Home that helped them in their career. We also offer all employees advanced qualifications, apprenticeship nurse practitioner degrees and social work qualifications. Whilst we'd love to retain these people, it's more important that we actually help them with their career and the rest of their journey. So what else do we find out in our 5-star opinion survey? So some of the factors, next slide, please. The current caregivers give honest feedback and their opinions are invaluable to us. So training examples that they ask for are higher education in care, NVQs, bowel management, challenging behaviour. Employee referrals is the one big area that we look for, but one of the feedback is that they don't refer as much because of the risk of losing their own hours. However, we have a long waiting list of clients, so we need to reassure them that that's not going to happen. Changes, clearly not everyone's going to be happy all of the time. Travel time is the one big thing that our employees say that we need to improve upon. It's either we give too much travel time and they're sat waiting for the time to get in to see the clients, or there's not enough and they're struggling with being able to get there on time. What we find the most useful, though, is asking them what makes them proud to actually work for Right at Home. And the comments that they come back with are seeing the difference they've made every day, seeing themselves develop from quite often at times the shy, lacking confident employee at the first interview through to somebody who's actually helping people to make the first steps out of into rehabilitation, etc., and seeing themselves develop as an individual. More importantly, most of them say seeing the clients improve and smile. So if we know what makes them proud to work for Right at Home, we celebrate it and we encourage it even more. Next slide, please. So where do we go fishing, or where should you go fishing for new candidates to help with your growth? We all know that care is a saturated vocational area. Using job boards will only allow you to bring in one type of workforce. We need a blended recruitment strategy to allow us to recruit a blended workforce. So 60% of our current caregivers were actively searching and found adverts on job boards, and we all know which of those job boards they are. This is getting more and more challenging, so where do we get the rest of our caregivers from? Next slide. So research from Careers Advice Service has shown to us that adults aged 50 plus, half, so it's 46%, say they are not too old to find their dream job and start a new career. Almost half have more life goals that they want to achieve now than when they were 30. 1 in 5 of 50 plus workers are seriously contemplating a career change to fulfill a lifetime career ambition. And more than a quarter want more job satisfaction in their next career move. For 77%, that means doing something worthwhile. And around 60% of 50 plus workers want the chance to learn new skills, with 1 in 6 retired 50 plus year olds wanting to learn a new skill. So examples that we've had more recently have been accountants, retired nurses, office workers, widowers. More recently, because of the pandemic, air stewards and pilots, where they've been unemployed for the last 18 months, have joined Right at Home and have actually not gone back into the travel industry. Also, life-changing circumstances have led people to completely rethink their career. We have many living examples of that, where people have actually taken the benefit of becoming a living employee. Next slide, please. So job boards, clearly with 60% of our active searches coming from there, there's a lot of competition out there right now. So we need to make our presence known. We have to show what a great company we are to work for. Cost with Indeed, etc., and as all the job boards has gone through the roof because the market is saturated. We need to be looking, should we be spending our money elsewhere and targeting different employees. The cost per hire is increasing as algorithms move you further down search results. But more importantly, what we found is we need to keep it honest, and we see far too many examples with artificial pay levels advertised to try and attract candidates, and then they leave when they find out that they're not actually going to be able to attain that pay level. Next slide, please. Social media is becoming a huge area, not becoming, it is a huge area. However, there's a lot of competition right now, and we need to make our presence known and build our brand online. We have to show what a great company we are to work for and use current fans, and by fans I'm referring to employees that actively go out there to promote your company and say what a great place it is to either be a client for or to work for. So we use our fans to showcase on social media how great it is to work there. Next slide, please. So whilst professional agency-driven social media accounts can build your audience base, they have less engagement than real posts of real people. The posts with the most amount of engagement typically always include pizzas, food, saying thanks, and believe it or not, dogs. So the office pet will typically get you the most amount of engagement online. We try not to post with the intention of making something go viral, but post because our fan base want to engage with it, with what we are saying. So what is the best form of recruitment? The ones that come the best prepared, are engaged the most and stay the longest are, of course, employee referrals. Next slide, please. So what do our current employees say as to why they have made employee referrals? So this is from, again, from the 5-star employee in care survey. Right at home, we're accommodating when it comes to family life, therefore work-life balance is achievable. Most visits to clients are an hour long, which gives you time to get to know them and give them the quality care they're entitled to. The £100 bonus, working for a supportive employee who cares. The way I'm looked after and regularly have meetings to make sure everything is good. And of course, how appreciation is given. They're the key things that our employees have said as to why they have referred other employees or future employees into our business. Next slide, please. Moving. So whilst we're waiting for that, what we find is that quite ironically, speed is everything. So are we able to respond out of hours? We typically text message our employees out of hours, as it can work better than telephone calls when people are sat at home. We're specifically open 7 days a week to ensure we can respond to our current team as well as new applicants that are coming through. We use an applicant management system, Team Taylor, which will send automated messages to candidates as they're coming through and reminders for interviews. And we have dedicated websites of Care Jobs, Derby, etc., to make our SEO better and a good landing page for our employees. So how do we stand out? We need to be able to sell our culture and show people why we are different. So is the slideshow working for others, not just me?
I think that's a connection, so I would keep going, John, and she'll reconnect as soon as she can, if that's all right. Thank you. So candidate selection. From initial inquiry, we use software and tools to make the process as easy as possible. Automated reminders are sent to candidates prior to attending an interview and then at each further stage during the applicant management process. And then we've used digital paperwork to remove duplication. So I'm sure you can all got experience of the 2 to 3 hours that it could take to actually complete new employee paperwork with all the various checks and how many times they have to write out their name and address. By digitising that, all of the standard fields will automatically get copied across to all of the other fields. And we've managed to get a saving, what used to be about 3 hours, down to about 20 minutes for the candidate paperwork coming through. So therefore, during induction, that allows more time to be spent with the new recruits, making them comfortable as opposed to filling in paperwork. So time and effort are clearly important, but how do you know that you're being effective? So finally, what we do is evaluate our full recruitment process on a quarterly basis through internal feedback and surveys. So after the end of inductions and training, we anonymously ask the people what they've liked and what we can do better to improve. Above all else, make an action plan and action it. Inform the team of the changes we've made and how we're going to improve the process. So in summary, whilst we're not perfect, we're continually looking for ways to retain our current employees whilst attracting the right type of new candidates to join our team and become future fans. So apologies that the slideshows have not kept up with me speaking, but we're on a tight time frame, I believe.
Thank you, John, for that. Yes, my apologies too. We seem to have some technical issues, so we can't manage to share the slides, but hopefully we'll get back up. Our next, and just really, Abby or Gabby, are you there? Because the next one is a pre-recorded session from Kate Ward, Managing Director from EDS. Are you able to do that, Abby?
I'm really sorry about that, guys. My internet just fully dropped out and wouldn't let me back in. So I'm sorry about that, John, but I'm back up now. And we'll be sure to share the slides as well. So bear with me, I'll get the video up now from Kate.
Hi everybody, my name is Kate Ward, and I'm the Managing Director of Eyam Domiciliary Service. So Eyam Domiciliary Service is a home care agency. We provide domiciliary care to vulnerable adults in and around Derbyshire, some of South Yorkshire, but mainly the Peak District. So we look after anybody from the age of 18 up to the age of, well, the eldest client we've got at the minute is 103, which is pretty cool. Lots of stories to be told and lots to learn from our clients, not just us to them to us often. It's obviously a really rewarding job if you're invested in the care sector and if you enjoy working in care. Now, as people who work in care will know, that once you have worked in care, and if it's for you, then it's something you stick out. It becomes really worthwhile, something you want to invest in, something that you want to become your main career, the thing that drives you forward professionally. The difficulty is obviously getting people into care. That can be a challenge. It's not necessarily the most appealing job on the surface of things. It has lots of negative associations. So with some of the tasks that we carry out as care workers, with the hours we're expected to work, the days of the year we're expected to work, because obviously care is required every day of the year, isn't it? Including Christmas, New Year, in the evenings, at the weekend. So lots of it can feel, on the surface, as I say, unappealing, but it's not. It's far, far from it. So it's getting people through the door, which we at Eyam Domiciliary find the hardest thing to do. When it comes to retaining our staff, keeping staff with our company, touch wood, all things wooden, we do quite well. Well, we do very well, actually, statistically. So we have staff members that have been with us for the entirety that the business has existed. And it was established in 1999. So we're doing pretty well. Lots of the carers have been there longer than I have. My background is acute nursing. So I registered as a nurse, worked in acute nursing for some years, and then took the position of assistant manager to start with at Eyam Domiciliary, and then eventually became registered, and then eventually took over the company in its entirety. So exciting times, definitely. And I have learned an awful lot through all those different processes, managing in different settings, managing different staff with different drives, different passions, different things that motivate them, because we're all different, aren't we? So lots of things get some of us motivated, and something that might be nothing to do with your preferences gets somebody else motivated. And there's lots of different aspects, I think, through my experience, that all contribute to retaining the staff, like low turnover of care workers. Now, things like travel time. So when you're providing domiciliary care in the community, obviously you have to go from house to house, client to client. It's not in a care home, it's not in one place, it's all over the place. And my company in particular, it's really all over the place. Our head branch is based in the Peak District, which is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But it comes with its hindrances, should we say, doing domiciliary care. So we have small roads, we have farms which bring their farm traffic, we have lots of tourism which bring just general traffic, which makes getting around a little bit tricky. Most houses have names, not numbers, so logistically it can be overwhelming. It can certainly feel tricky getting around. And it's these sort of things that you need to try and turn into a positive when you're recruiting your staff, and certainly when you're wanting to retain them. So the practicalities are making sure, without a shadow of a doubt, you cover their time to travel in ways of finances. So travel time needs to be paid. mileage needs to be paid. And one thing we have found really beneficial through our experience, through my experience, is making sure that the pay is really reflective of what they're actually working, what they're receiving. So what I mean by that is we don't do a rolled up hourly rate. So we don't give out a big chunky number. We pay £12 an hour, for example, and that be it. That be the whole pay in a nutshell. We do it differently, and this is something that has definitely contributed to the retention of our staff. I know so because of feedback from our staff. So, for example, we pay an hourly rate, which is lower than these big numbers that people often advertise with, or the big companies. But in addition to the hourly rate, we pay travel time for every minute that is travelled, and we pay a mileage expense for every mile that is travelled, and they go all together and display the final wage, should we say, on a payslip. So the carers really feel valued for all the little bits as well as the big bits that they're doing. We try to keep things like travel time and mileage travels as little as possible, because it can feel frustrating on a really busy day if you're working a 6-hour shift and you're going from one place to one place to one place to one place, and the travel in between these places is extensive. It can feel tiring, and it can feel like most of your day is in the car, not with your clients, which again can lead to some frustration with your staffing. So again, through experience and feedback from our staff, it's definitely good to be really mindful when you're creating your rotas. Make sure not just that you do it, that you communicate it. So as a company, as a manager, when you're interviewing, when you're trying to make sure your staff that you have just recruited stay, you need to practice openly what you preach. So all these great things you do as a company, you need to tell them about it. You need to make them aware. And so they sort of feel assured of that information, and they know they can come ask you if something falls out of that line. One thing we find, and I find especially, is being really open, or as open as you can, and that seems to really help again with minimising the turnover of your staff. So if they sort of know where they are with you, then it just seems to make things smoother. So it's an open door policy, basically. We're a very open company. So as the managing director, everybody, if they want to, can have access to me. Now that sounds possibly like a bad idea to some people who are in my position, but it's not. It can be done well, and it can be done in a controlled way. And the thing to do is to sort of make yourself available without being, totally crammed with people every hour of the day. But the real key, I find, to keeping the staff retained is actually giving people structure. So lots of people come into care because they think it's really flexible, there's not much structure, they can sort of work when they want, leave when they want, not have to worry about this, that, and the other. And I found that to be the total opposite. If actually once you've recruited somebody, you actually give them very firm structure, it makes a big difference to how you retain those staff members. Trialed and tested, with minimal structure, you have high turnover of your staff. With really firm but utterly fair structure and a really good open communication network, you have really high retention of your staff. And as I said, this isn't just my opinion, this is something that has literally happened in my company. When I started there, we had issues with retention. There was a very flexible structure. People didn't really know what they were doing. One person had one advantage, another person didn't, and it just causes issues, countless issues, which lots of providers experience. So whether carers realise it or not, maybe that's not why they came into the care sector, but definitely structure is necessary. We really promote the work-life balance within that. So we do a week 1 and a week 2 rotation. So that's so everyone works one weekend and everyone has one weekend off. We make sure there's 2 evenings a week as a minimum, unless somebody requests more. So striking the balance between everybody. So fairness for your carers you have, but you ensure you've got that a stable enough substantial workforce to cover the care that you're providing, while all the time reminding your carers, your staff, that it's really important to you that they have got their work-life balance, because at the end of the day, The carers are what you need to provide your excellent care. The carers are what you need to run your company really, really well. So first and foremost, they need to be taken care of. They need to be recognised, feel respected, allowed to be heard, encouraged to be heard, and generally motivated with very, very, very simplistic appreciation. Really, really straightforward. One of the most basic parts of being a human being, just to know that you're appreciated. So that would be my advice to everybody. Open communication, structured retention models, and open recruitment. Go for it. Get anyone through the door that you can. Do all your safe checks and make sure they stick to what you want to be set out in your company. Best of luck to everybody. Thanks for listening. Hi.
Well, that was from Kate Ward at EDS, and thank you, Kate. It was really interesting. We now have some time for questions. If there are any questions that you want to put to our presenters today, or just anything that you feel that you'd like to discuss, you know, please speak up or put something in the chat.
Interesting observation. Someone has put that they've recently recruited an individual who's 73 years old. So I think it's testament to what John was talking about, the passive job seekers. I thought that was a very interesting comment. I'd be interested to know what others think about that, actually, because I think it's an untapped area. I don't know, John, if you want to say any more. We've got 2 minutes, literally. If you want to say any more
absolutely, yeah. Some of our most loyal and committed employees are the maybe widowers, and they can't believe that they're fortunate enough to actually get paid for doing something that they love. They've previously cared for a relative, etc., and now have more time on their hands. And we found that, you know, at the start of the pandemic, they were cancelling their holidays. They were at-risk groups themselves, and they were the ones that were coming to work most because they wanted to help more and more people in the community. And we do find that they're the most reliable and hardworking and committed, and probably have the best engagement with our clients as well, because they got more in common with them as well. So absolutely one of the best target areas to go recruiting in for a different candidate base.
Thank you, John. So if there's no questions coming up, can you see any questions, Ronnie?
No, I think, no, we just got some interesting chat, and thank you, Charlotte. You've just added a little bit more information about that lady in her 70s. I think it's a really interesting area, because so many women in their 50s say, oh, I'll never get another job. And yet what a fantastic sector we are for you know, recognising transferable skills and people's values. So thank you, Hazel. That's all the questions and comments for today.
Lovely. So probably see you all again tomorrow. We've got this event travelling through the week. Lots of different things happening each day. So until tomorrow, bye everyone.